Hi guys, I'm this movie guy, and today I'm reviewing, don't have a copy. Anyway, I'm reviewing Star Wars Aftermath, because next month Empire's End is coming out, and I wanted to review Aftermath and Life Debt before Empire's End comes out, because it's the final part of the trilogy. I haven't reviewed the other parts, and I wanted to share my thoughts on the other two parts, because the thing is that I have liked most of the new canon. Most of it. Not all of it. This is one part that I really don't like in the new canon. Aftermath is, in my opinion, the worst of the canon novels. Now, the reason that I don't have a copy anymore is not because I threw it in the garbage after reading it. No, after reading it, I just put it on my shelf and I was like, well, that was disappointing and bad and not good. But a few days later, a few days after I read it, it was a little odd that it actually happened just a few days after I read it, because I didn't read it when it just came out. I read it in like May of 2016, so a few days after that I was following the writer Chuck Wendig on Twitter, and he was telling people why we didn't like the book. And I can get that sometimes creators want to get a little defensive on, like, they made something and it wasn't all that great, and I want to say why people may have misunderstood certain things when I explain certain things or whatnot. But this guy was just telling us why we didn't like the book, and the reasons that he gave us were, yeah, bullshit, because the things that he said that I didn't like the book weren't the reasons why I didn't like it. So basically I started replying to some of those tweets, and he started replying, and after a little bit of a feud on Twitter, he blocked me. Okay, well, that's basically because I was saying things why I didn't like the book, because yeah, certain things that I legitimately had problems with, and he was saying, but other people love the book and it was the best-selling novel for a while and whatnot. I mean, you know why it was the best-selling novel for a while? Because it is by far the most anticipated story that anyone has ever had in Star Wars. One thing that I have always wondered after seeing Return of the Jedi is like, so is the Empire done now, or is there something else? Because that's the thing. The Empire is huge in the galaxy, and that is what the Aftermath books are about. It takes place right after the Battle of Endor, a few months, and it tells the story of how the Empire and the Rebellion is now positioned in the galaxy. Like, the Empire is scattered and they have to hide, like the Rebels did in the original trilogy, and the Rebels made the New Republic, and that is really something. And I've always been fascinated by what happened afterwards, so I was like, I had read Bloodline at that time. That was the only novel in the entire Star Wars universe that I had read at that time, which I loved. And I had seen, of course, The Force Awakens, and I was extremely interested in the things that happened just after. So, of course, a lot of people like me were like, okay, this is going to be the story after the Battle of Endor. This is going to explain us everything that happened, and a lot of people were extremely disappointed, and it's not that it's just disappointing. It's bad. There are serious issues in terms of like how to write a book, how to tell a story, how to make characters that people can connect with. There are fundamental flaws with the book already, besides the fact that you are not living up to certain people's expectations. So there were so many issues with that after I explained that to him on Twitter, he blocked me. So then I was like, okay, fuck you, buddy, I'm gonna burn your book because it's bullshit. I didn't even want to sell it to other people. I didn't want to just throw it in the garbage, because like, nobody should read that book ever. Nobody should be like, oh hey, I kind of think that this can be something. No, I like ripped it apart, burned every page of it, and made sure that nobody can ever read that copy ever again. And that's basically what I think should happen with all the copies of the first Aftermath novel, because if the guy cannot take criticism and he tells me on Twitter why I didn't like the book for bullshit reasons, yeah, then fuck you. I was just really pissed at that point. So I don't have the copy anymore. But the thing is that it's not terrible in every way. There are fundamental huge issues with the book, but there are some good things that I will mention that I do kind of like about the book. But these aren't a whole lot. First off, like, one of the things that Chuck Wendig was accusing me of for not liking the book was the fact that there were gay characters in the book. There are three. One of the main characters called Sinjir Rathvelis, and two others, a lesbian couple related to one of the main characters. I had no issues with any of them. Actually, Sinjir is my favorite character in the entire book. Even though there are people who, like, reappear that we've already seen in other things, like an Admiral Akbar, Mon Mothma, Wedge Antilles. Those people reappear, but I never liked them as much as I like Sinjir in this book. Sinjir is actually a really good character, and, like, thanks to both Aftermath and Life Debt, he is just one of my favorite characters in any of the books. Like, Sinjir is a well-written character, and there was nothing in the book that made me dislike him. So he is actually one of my favorite parts, and he's the gay character. So do I have a complaint about that? No. I really have no issues with gay characters in Star Wars. I'm for it if they would ever introduce more into movies or TV shows. I have no issues with that. The author said I did, but I don't, but whatever, you know. Another thing that Wendig told me for not liking it is that there was no Grand Admiral Thrawn. At that point, at the point that I was reading the book for the first time, I didn't know that Grand Admiral Thrawn was someone who in Legends appears a few years after the Battle of Endor. I didn't know that, and I didn't really know the character all that much, so I had no expectations of, like, Grand Admiral Thrawn being in it. And the thing is that the Admiral that we do have in the book is Ray Sloane, which is, of course, a character that I now know is from A New Dawn. I didn't know it back then, but now I do, and it was actually really cool to have her back as the Admiral of the Imperial Fleet, and she has a Super Star Destroyer, and she also is a good character. She is one of the few well-written characters. Like, Ray Sloane and Sinjir are the two best characters of this book, and I had no issue with there being a lack of a Grand Admiral Thrawn because I thought Ray Sloane was a cool character. So, why the fuck are you telling me that I didn't like certain things that I have no issue with? Like, it's fucking horseshit. I mean, if Chuck Wendig is watching this, please, get your shit together and just get over the fact that people didn't like your first book, because it's just shit. Anyway, besides the two characters, I also like the state that the Empire is in, the state that they were able to describe the Empire is in. Like, they're basically swapped with the Rebellion. Like, the Rebellion formed the New Republic, and that's the order in the universe, and the Empire has to hide on planets and make sure that they figure out how to get back at the Rebellion. And I actually like that. They explained that quite well, I'd say, so that was a good thing. And another thing, there are these are really small things, honestly, about the book, but another thing is some of the interludes. Like, there are interludes in the book that describe a little part of the rest of the galaxy going on, certain characters, certain worlds, certain other things that are going on that you could be interested in. Some of the interludes I liked. Actually, I only remembered 4 of them. Well, there are a lot more. I remembered 4. Just 4. That's really not a lot that I remembered. But, like, at least I liked some of them, you know. And hey, it's something that I like. And there is, besides the interludes, also some fan service that I liked. But for the most part, it's not. And other than that, did I like what? No. Audiobook. Yes, the audiobook. Because I first read my physical copy, and because I burned that, I needed to get the audiobook legally. I pirated that because I already paid for the initial copy, so I'm not going to pay again. I got the audiobook, was actually better. You don't get the choppy writing style, because the writing style is a real big issue of the book, and in the audiobook you don't see that, of course. You just listen to what the narrator is saying. Like, the narrator actually did a very good job, and you get sound effects and you get music at times, and it actually kind of adds to it. The only big issue that I have with the audiobook is that the narrator says Twi'lek. It's Twi'lek. I can accept Twi'lek, but Twi'lek, like, what the fuck? Seriously, I am a massive fan of Twi'leks for some reason. It's something that it's personal. But, like, when somebody says Twi'lek or Twi'lek, that really rubs me the wrong way, so I had a big issue listening to that. But that's about it. Like, the audiobook is actually okay. You can listen to it. Like, if you want to get to Life Debt, you need to complete the first Aftermath. So listen to the audiobook if you have to get through it, and just get through it. That is how I did it. I listened last weekend nonstop to the audiobook, made sure that I got it out of the way, that I had listened to it once again to make sure that I know exactly what I think about the book, because it's been a while. I needed a refresher, and like I just went through it, didn't pay a whole lot of attention to some parts because some parts are just boring or annoying, whatever, but you should be able to get through it. Just be prepared that it's just not very good at all. Anyway, in terms of complaints, there are so many issues with this book, like fundamental issues with the book. The writing style, as I said, is pretty horrible to read. It's really annoying for me to read Wendig's writing style, and it just really rubbed me the wrong way, and it was very hard to get through. Like, when I first read it, it took me about 3 or 4 weeks to get through it, after I read Bloodline in like 4 or 5 days. Like, I'm not the fastest reader, but when I set my mind on something, I can get through a book in like 4 days or something, maybe even less. That really depends on how long it really is. But in terms of like Aftermath, it's about the same length as Bloodline, perhaps a little bit longer, and it took me like 3 or 4 weeks to get through it, because I was just putting it away, trying to do other things while thinking about, you should actually read Aftermath, but I really don't want to because it's not that good. So yeah, but the fundamental issue for me with the book was that it was trying to be Star Wars, and it wasn't Star Wars. It lost focus too much. It was trying to do too many things. It was really someone trying to write Star Wars, trying to just put everything in there that you possibly could. And I'm like, but you lose focus in that case, because at the beginning it shows a prologue that has nothing to do with the rest of the story. Then it shows Wedge, and it's like, oh, hey, this is going to be about Wedge. And then you find out soon enough that Wedge is going to be butchered. He's not a badass at all in this story, and he's really underused, useless, and that was kind of sad, because I quite like Wedge from the original trilogy, but like what they did with this character was basically butcher his character, which really pissed me off. Then you get to character 1, then you go to character 2, then you go to character 3, character 4, then you have an interlude, then you go to Mon Mothma, then you go to Agmor Agbar, then you go to character number 1 again, then you go to another interlude. It jumps all over the place throughout the entirety of the book. Also, not to mention, of course, Ray Sloan and Wedge Antilles, where it has to go back through. It goes all over the place, and it's just a big mess. It's just unfollowable. It was really extremely hard for me to follow all those storylines going on at the same time. I mean, you can do some storylines at the same time, but there were at least 10 of them that were going on. And then you also have the interludes, and the interludes are always a different part. It's like none of the interludes are connected. At least I don't think in part 1 they are connected. Maybe one is repeated, like you have an interlude at the beginning and at the end that is connected in terms of story, but for the rest it just jumps over the place, and it really shows that Wendig is like, oh, I just want to give you everything, I just want to do everything, and it's like, it doesn't work that way. If I or another big Star Wars fan would write a book, we could maybe even do a better job than you, because I know what I would want in a Star Wars book, and it's not this. And I know that a lot of Star Wars fans like me, maybe not the best writers, will probably have the same issue if they were writing a book like Wendig did. It's like, you want to do everything, but you just can't. Sometimes you just can't do everything, and that is, yeah, no, that really pissed me off, that he was trying to do everything. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't fucking work. Now, that's not the only issue. There are a lot of other issues with the book. As I said, writing style. It's really jarring, really annoying for me. One of my biggest complaints actually was the new characters. And Wendig addressed this, you know. He said, oh, you didn't like the book because there were no classic characters and there were all new characters. Wendig, shut the fuck up. Did you see my review for Lost Stars? If you've seen my review for Lost Stars, you know how absolutely I adore that book. Lost Stars is one of the best, if not the best, of the new canon. Like, Lost Stars is by far one of the best things in Star Wars history, in my opinion. And it was, for the most part, new characters. Thane Kyrell, Ciena Ree, Nash Windrider, all those characters, new characters, never seen before, but they were written in a way that I could care about them, that I was like, oh, this is an investing story, these are characters that I care about, that I can relate to. It's like, I like those characters. I had no issue with the fact that there were hardly any classic characters. Like, you have as many classic characters in Lost Stars as you have in Aftermath, because basically the classic characters cameo or have a really small role in the book, but they don't take over a big part of the story. But also like Bloodline. Bloodline has, besides Leia, because Leia of course is the protagonist, but besides Leia it has a lot of new characters. Josh Seastriker, Gris Arnold, Ransom Casterfo, Corey, like all those characters are good, well-written characters, and I've never seen them before in the Star Wars universe. They were introduced in that book, and they made me care in one book. Like, there are a lot of books out there. Heck, even if you take a look at Rebels, like, they made me care within a season about the entire Ghost Crew, about all 6 of them. It can be done, you know. If you look at like a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, they make me care in a 2-hour time span, less than 2 hours, about 5 Guardians and Yondu. It's like we've seen before that movies or series or books can make us care about new characters. That is not the issue. The issue with Aftermath is that it never made me care about the new characters except for Sinjir. In terms of like the new characters, they're pretty bad actually. You have Timon Wexley, aka Snap, who this guy in The Force Awakens was pretty generic, annoying in Aftermath. I didn't really care for him. I care even less about his mother. His mother apparently left him alone when he was 12 years old. Like, are you fucking kidding me? When he was 12 years old, you went off to the rebellion to fight with the rebellion. The reason that they give, yeah, there is a reason, but it's a bullshit reason, and I like to ignore it because, yeah, I honestly don't fucking care. Nora Wexley is a terrible mother. She is a terrible character in the book, and I don't give a shit. Also, Jazin Mari, generic bounty hunter that I don't give a shit about. Shoehorned into the Endor storyline during Return of the Jedi. Yes, actually, apparently she was there. She was in one of the trees targeting Leia. Yeah, that was a really big shoehorn that I was like, yeah, no, just don't do that. Talking about shoehorning, this book is shoehorning everything in there. It's everything. Like, it's trying to do everything at once, and you just can't do that. Simple fact, you just can't shoehorn everything in the entire galaxy in terms of new characters, new planets, old planets. You can't do everything in one book. That is my biggest issue with the interludes. They are trying to do everything, and like within a chapter they need to tell you a complete story. Simple fact, Chuck Wendig can't do that. He just can't. Like, even in Life Dead, that is an issue with like the interludes. I just don't care. I just want a focused story. I mean, you can do 1 or 2 side steps that show a little bit more, but not every 3 chapters. That's the thing, like this book has about like 35 to 40 chapters, and every 3 chapters it has an interlude. Every 3 chapters it takes you out of an already really messy story to tell you something about something else. And as I said, like I like 4 of like 10 to 15 interludes. It's like most of them I didn't care about, were really annoying, took me out of the story, and I didn't care. So really the guy's just trying to do everything at once, and it fucking sucks. Also, my biggest issue with a character in this book is a battle droid. Yes. If you've seen my reviews for Rebels, the last battle, my review for the last battle, like season 3 episode 5, you know how much I hate battle droids. There's a battle droid, the main character in this book. Just fucking no. Just fucking no. By far my biggest issue in this book, and that wasn't improved on the audiobook, really. Mr. Bones is by far my most hated character in Star Wars canon. It's just terrible. They made a battle droid a main character, and it's just fucking terrible. So, yeah. What else is there really to say about Aftermath? There are so many fundamental mistakes. I don't care about the characters. The story is not interesting. Look, if you say that I had expectations for this book, yeah, you'd be right. I mean, I did have some expectations, but I didn't expect it to be this horrible. Like, I didn't expect it to have this many fundamental errors in terms of writing. So, while I did like certain parts, this is up there with the prequels. This felt like a prequel. This felt like someone trying to write Star Wars, and in the end I'll give Aftermath a 4 out of 10. Yeah. It sucks. It really sucks. I was really looking forward to this book. Now the thing is, the audiobook already improved a little bit for me. Like, I could listen to it, I could just buffle through it, have my moments that I want to slit my wrists and just kill myself when Mr. Bones was speaking or doing whatever. But hey, I got through it, and it does kind of pay off because the second one, Aftermath Life Debt, is better, luckily. Now I will review that soon. I don't know exactly when, but I'm not sure if I want to reread it or do the audiobook. Either way, I'm going to get through it again to make sure that I have my thoughts on it again, because I read it when it had just come out, and I believe that was in June or something. Anyway, look out for my review for Aftermath Life Debt. And now, after I've given my thought on the first Aftermath, I wonder, if you've read it, what did you think of it? Are you one of the people that did like the book? Because I know there are some people who liked Aftermath. It's fine if you do. I just don't. But please, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you've liked my review and you want to see more of my movie, trailer, and Star Wars reviews, click right here.